Java, the selection is done by an if statement. There is another statement that we could use for selection, but first let us understand the if statement, and then we will go into that statement, which is called the switch. Now, for if statement, there are two types. One which is called single selection, and the other one is two-way selections. What is a single-way selection? This is the flow chart for the single-way selection. Now, if the condition is true, then we will do the yes statement. If the condition is true, then do nothing. So there is nothing to do if the condition is false. So here it is how it is implemented. The if structure is called a single selection structure because it selects or ignores a single action. And this is how you do it. You write if statement, if, you put round brackets, and you put the conditions between these round brackets. Now, if the condition is true, you put the statement that is true below the condition, and you leave little bit of space here for formatting. So it is when we look at the program, it is easy to see that this statement is attached to this condition. Now, what if this condition is not satisfied? Simply it will skip this statement. Here is an example. We would like to check for the student grade. If it is greater than or equal to 60, we will print passed. But we don't want to do anything if the student grade is not greater than or equal to 60. So this is how we do it. If a grade is greater than or equal to 60, we will print passed. But if a grade is not greater than or equal to 60, then the computer will skip. So it will just skip. So if you put this condition here, then if the grade is really greater than 60, so we will have a print. Otherwise, there is nothing we can do, and we will continue to the next statement. Now, the other if statement, it is used for two-way selection or double selection, and it is called if else. And you know in English, what does it mean else? It means if something is not happening, we go to else. Else, it means the other option. The if else structure is called double selection because it selects between two different actions. Here is the conditional box in a flowchart. When we say two actions, this is the first action, this is the second action. One for yes and one for no, like what we have learned in flowchart. The computer will check for the condition. If the condition is true, it will come to yes. If the condition is false, it will go to no. And it depends on what you write for yes and no. So you start with the yes part. It's not like in a flowchart you can put yes on the right hand side or left hand side, or no on the left hand side or right hand side. If you want to implement the conditional statement or the conditional box with two options, then you have to start with yes. So you write if, you put between round brackets the condition, and then you put the yes part. So you should put what happens for the yes part immediately after the condition. And then you put else, and you put the statement for no. So here you don't have a choice that you can put no in the beginning. You have to start with yes, and you have to put no. So how the computer will manage for yes and no? It will come here and test for condition. If it is true, it will execute this statement and will go out. If it is false, then it will go to else. And this is how it is indicated here. If the condition is true, it will come to yes and go out. Otherwise, it will go to the other side. So first, it will check for yes. So here is an example to know how to check for a number if it is even or not. To check for a number if it is even or not, we use modulus 2, because modulus 2 gives us the remainder. So any number, when you divide it by 2, the remainder is 0, then it is even. So the question says, if num is even, print even. Otherwise, print odd. So here we have two actions. And the first action depends if it is even. The other action, which comes next, if it is not even. So we start writing if, and we put the condition. And then for the yes part, we put it immediately below the condition. So the computer will check for num modulus 2. If it's equal to 0, it will print even. Otherwise, it will go to else. And this is how it is done here. If it is even, it will print even. Otherwise, it will print it is not even. Sometimes in the yes part or in the no part, we have more than one action. If you remember the flowchart example for flat, the price for an apartment, and we checked for the area and for the floor number. So what did we do? We put a box for calculation, and then immediately after that we print. So under one condition we have to do two things. Now the structure here you have, if you have one condition, if you have one statement, then you can just simply write that statement like what we have done here. But if you have more than one, then you need to combine them in groups. So this group is either executed at once or left at once. And here is an example. And if you remember, this is for swapping or for exchanging. For exchanging, we need 3 steps. And here we would like to check if the value of x is greater than y, then we need to swap. Here the question doesn't say what to do if x is not greater than y. So we use single if. And we check for the statement, or we check for the condition, x is greater than y. If it is greater than y, then we have to do these 3 steps together. We cannot leave them, we cannot just do one and leave the other one. Let me show you, okay, what I mean by this by an example. So this is our condition. Now suppose we don't have this, okay? Now the computer will understand that under this condition, there is only one statement. So it will draw a line like this, separating whatever on top, and what is in below. So it will assume that this is one statement, and this is another statement, and this is another statement. Now, if x is really greater than y, then it will do this statement and it will finish and will go for the next 2 statements. Now, what if x is not greater than y? So it will skip the first one, but it will execute the others. So that means that the computer will, in fact, is going to separate these 2 statements from this statement. So it looks like here we have one statement, if statement, and we have 2 separate statements. But now we want to tell the computer that if x is greater than y, then you have to execute all of them. And if x is not greater than y, leave all of them. So this is why we have to put a group, so that we will assume that this one as one unit. If x greater than y, do all of them. If not, just skip all of them. So in general, if we have selection, either single or double. If for the yes part you have more than one statement, put the brackets. If you have one statement, then the brackets will be optional. So you don't need to put the brackets. Here are some examples that involves brackets. See here, we have under this condition, this is the yes part, we have 2 statements, one for printing and one for calculation. So this is why we need curly brackets. Put them as a group. Now also here we have 2, so we put them in a group, so the computer will just check for transaction type. If it's equal to C, it will do both of them and ignore these 2. If it is not equal to C, it will ignore these 2 and will execute these 2 statements. So it looks like you have 2 groups, choose one, depends on the condition. Now in here, there is no need to put brackets. It's not a must, you can put brackets. For single or more, you can put a bracket, but there is no point because there is only one statement under this condition. But here we need brackets. Why? Because we have 2 statements to be executed under else. So if number of items is 0, it will print invalid number of items and will skip these 2. But if number of items is not equal to 0, it will skip this and will execute these 2 together.